everybody. Today is Thursday, February the 1st, and you're watching FCN Prime News here on the Fifth Column Network. I'm Tresene, editor of FCN1, which is home of news, politics, and business, and your news anchor for this evening. Here at FCN Prime News, we aim to bring you your news from a perspective that matters to you. No narratives, no fake news, just the facts, all the facts. Tonight will be no different, as I'll cover crime and current events here domestically, including criminal charges of the girl who poisoned her black roommate last year and bragged about it on Instagram, and giving you guys an interesting detail about the Black Panther premiere that's making rumblings in the African fashion community. With that said, go ahead and hit that share button that's appeared in the broadcast so that you can invite all of your friends and your followers to follow the Fifth Column Network so that they can all see the programming that we're airing the rest of tonight and later this week. There is always something for everyone here at the Fifth Column Network and always a conversation for everyone to jump in. With that, let's head into our news. This morning, our nation experienced another school shooting. In Los Angeles, a 12-year-old girl is in custody after opening fire in her middle school. Two students were shot inside of a classroom of Sal Castro Middle School. Both victims were 15 years old, one boy and one girl. The girl was shot in her wrist and is listed in fair condition. The boy was shot in the head and is listed in critical condition. Three other individuals also suffered minor injuries, a 30-year-old woman, an 11-year-old boy, and a 12-year-old girl. Their injuries were minor abrasions, some from glass. The enrollment at this school is 92% Latino. The shooter, however, is white female. This is the 12th school shooting in 32 days. In Florida, a correctional officer is facing prison time for kicking and punching a black inmate in the face after learning that he had plans to marry a white woman. Yes, you heard that right. Inmate Darren Glover, age 44, was set to marry his fiancée the day after taking his wedding photos while incarcerated. But due to swollen ankles, Glover did not have his boots laced up tightly during his photo shoot. This led to a confrontation between Glover and the now former Major Michael Baxter, a high-ranking correctional officer, as the officer was angry that Glover had not been disciplined for the shoelaced uniform violation. The correctional officer's secretary testified she saw the inmate get kicked in the face by her boss and quickly realized that the attack was not about shoestrings, nor was her boss acting in self-defense. She testified that Glover was beaten beyond recognition and the wedding was canceled. When she asked her boss on behalf of the inmate's fiancé why the wedding was canceled, the correctional officer offered the following reason. That nigga did not need to be marrying a white woman. He needed to be in confinement, unquote. A jury deliberated for 4 hours before determining the correctional officer was not guilty of using excessive force, but the jury did find him guilty of falsifying records about the incident. He faces a sentence of 20 years in prison. He goes before a judge on April the 10th. Yay! You all remember the former Connecticut University student who smeared her bodily fluids on her black roommate's belongings and did a host of other things to poison her. Well, she's in court asking the judge to allow her to have probation that could erase criminal charges from her record. Brianna Brochu, age 18, a former University of Hartford student, has applied for accelerated rehabilitation during an appearance in court last week. The program, which is generally for first-time, nonviolent defendants, allows charges to be erased upon successful completion of a probation period. Police say Brochu wrote on Instagram last October about rubbing her tampons on her roommate's backpack and putting her roommate's toothbrush in her butt. She also called her roommate Jamaican Barbie and wrote that she put moldy clam dip in her roommate's lotions and spit in her coconut oil. Her roommate, Chanel Rowe, we all know as Jazzy, said she developed throat pain and was very sick during that time. The state NAACP and other supporters of Rowe have been calling for felony hate crime charges against Brochu. The state attorneys have said they will not charge her with a hate crime because they aren't justified. There isn't enough evidence to support that the conduct was committed to intimidate or harass because of her race or ethnicity. Brochu's lawyers are arguing the roommates had a falling out and that there is no reason to burden an 18-year-old with a criminal record when there is evidence it was an isolated incident that will never happen again. A civil trial is set to begin next week in the fatal police shooting of Corny Gaines, the young black woman who of two who was killed in her Baltimore residence with her son just a few feet away. The shooting in 2016 of August was a national headline story, largely due to the fact that Gaines partially broadcasted her interaction with police on Facebook. Attorneys for the Gaines family is suing Baltimore County and county officers for wrongful death and excessive force. According to the Baltimore Sun, the family also argues that Gaines' constitutional right to free speech was violated when police asked Facebook to deactivate her Facebook account. Gaines was age 23. She posted on Facebook videos of her and her son, Cody, during a standoff with police. Officers entered her home to serve warrants on her and her boyfriend. Gaines, however, refused to come out of her residence. Her family said she feared for her life, and that is when she began recording and posting videos on Facebook and other social media platforms. Officer Royce Ruby Jr., who was outside the apartment at the time of the encounter, fired at Gaines through her kitchen wall, killing her. Lawyers for the county argue that Ruby was justified in shooting Gaines because police allegedly saw her raise a shotgun to the firing position. Gaines' son, who was 5 years old at the time, was also struck 2 times during the home shooting. Documents state that not only was Gaines' death unconstitutional, but that officers entered her home without a reasonable belief that she was actually at home and did so without a search warrant. Well, this week, Donald Trump gave his State of the Union address, and when he mentioned black unemployment, the Congressional Black Caucus wasn't having it. They didn't clap, they didn't emote. They just sat there and gave Trump a blank stare. Why? Well, because President Trump took credit for the achievements of the Obama administration. Trump said, and something I'm very proud of, African American unemployment stands at the lowest rates ever recorded. But members of the Congressional Black Caucus who were dressed in kente cloth were unmoved, and their lack of enthusiasm is completely understandable. The White House hasn't detailed which of the Trump administration's policies are to thank for the drop in black unemployment, and many political observers have noted that the unemployment rate began dropping during the Obama administration. Specifically, the black unemployment rate fell from 16.5% to 7.8% from January 2011 to 2017. It has only fallen a single percent since Trump has been in office. According to a spokesperson for the Congressional Black Caucus, what should have been addressed by Trump is that black unemployment is still too high, the wage gap between black and white workers is still growing, and Trump still only talks about black people when he believes it benefits him. The economy and jobs was a huge part of Trump's State of the Union speech, so he definitely spent time talking about the amazing tax bill that he personally got passed. As we roll into February, the tax bill is reportedly beginning to deliver a change that many will welcome: bigger paychecks. Some workers are starting to see more take-home pay as employers implement the new withholding guidelines from the IRS, which dictates how much employers will withhold to pay for federal taxes. Those whose checks have remained the same shouldn't worry. Employers have until February the 15th to make these withholding changes. Treasury Secretary Steven Mnuchin has estimated that the new rules will mean more take-home pay for about 90% of American workers. How much extra cash, you ask? Well, it depends on several factors, such as your worker's income, how often you're paid, and the number of withholding allowances you claim on your IRS W-4 with your employer. Those whose employers were quick to make the change have welcomed the extra money, anywhere from a few dollars to a few $100s. However, experts suggest all taxpayers should look at the new IRS calculator when it becomes available later this month to ensure you are having the correct amount withheld. Members of the Senate Finance Committee and House Ways and Means Committee have asked the Government Accountability Office to analyze the new tax tables to make sure that workers' paychecks aren't being systematically under-withheld, which would make your paychecks bigger now, but you would get a big bill at the end of tax time, which will officially suck for people who are already living paycheck to paycheck. Speaking of money, on Tuesday, FEMA announced it was cutting off aid to Puerto Rico after 4 months of providing 30 million gallons of water and nearly 60 million meals. FEMA said it was turning over its remaining food and water supplies to the Puerto Rican government to finish distributing. Some on the island believed it was way too soon to end those deliveries, given that a third of residents still lack electricity and in some places still lack running water. But FEMA said that its internal analytics suggested that only about 1% of the islanders still needed emergency food and water. The agency believed that it was small enough a number for the Puerto Rican government and nonprofit groups to handle. To date, FEMA has approved more than $500 million in Hurricane Maria-related public assistance, though it's unclear how much of that is slated for local government and nonprofit groups versus direct aid to individuals. The agency has also dispersed an additional $3.2 million in unemployment aid to people whose jobs were affected by the storm. But weirdly, the day after many lawmakers made cries about this cut, FEMA announced the next morning that it was just kidding. A decision on a date for when deliveries would be cut off had not been made, and that officially it had made a mistake giving that official date to NPR. In tech development news, a black tech entrepreneur has created a device that automatically gets your lawn mowed. Wilkinson Egwu, an entrepreneur based in Georgia, has created an innovative way to automate professional lawn care. LawnTap, the startup company he co-founded, has developed a device and an app that enables your lawn to take care of itself. Yes, literally. In an interview, Egwu said that LawnTap aims to make the whole process autonomous without the old, complicated way of hiring a lawn care provider. He claims that his product is the new sleek, customer-friendly approach to lawn care. The smart solar-powered sensor called Gaia allows you to monitor the set preferences of your lawn's grass height via its accompanying app. Once the lawn grass reaches the preset height, the sensor will request for lawn care providers within 20 to 30 miles to come trim your lawn. Gaia has a head with solar panels that power the device and a metallic stick that inserts directly into the lawn soil. The top and bottom sensors keep track of the height, sunlight, moisture levels, and other external effects that may affect the growth of your lawn grass. The app also displays the data in real time and notifies you about suggestions to keep your lawn healthy and maintained. It can then send an alert to nearby lawn care providers who can know exactly what your lawn needs and take care of it with a touch of a few buttons from the homeowner. The on-demand lawn care service is currently being offered in Georgia and Texas. Egwu says he plans to expand it further to California, Florida, and Pennsylvania with some help from some venture capital firms. Pre-orders of its complimentary device are also now being accepted on their website, www.lawntap.com. Now that it's been a year since Trump has been in office, it frees up the prior administration to do more public appearances. This week, former First Lady Michelle Obama appeared on Ellen and finally revealed what was in that blue Tiffany's box that Melania Trump gave her on Inauguration Day last year. When Melania presented the former First Lady with the square box, you all remember it, it made for a very awkward moment with Michelle looking uncertain and confused on what she would do with it. She said to Ellen, there's all this protocol. They tell you what you're supposed to do. You got to do this. You got to stand here. And never before they tell you that you're going to get something and what you're supposed to do with it. She then added that by the time she got the gift, everyone had cleared out. So there was no one there to even take the box. And that's when we see Barack coming in, grabbing the box, and just walking it inside. What was in the box is what we all wanted to know. It was a, quote, lovely frame. A frame. We all know that the Black Panther premiere happened this week, and the initial reactions are in. People are obsessed with it. The early reactions say that Michael B. Jordan is a terrific villain, is one of the most interesting villains in the Marvel Universe, and noted that the film embraces its cultural significance. The premiere also highlighted the amazing looks on the red carpet, with its black stars dressed from head to toe in African garb, looking royal and amazing. But its fashion is not without its critics. J.J. Gatt, a lawyer and blogger, took time to highlight who everyone was wearing that night. Janelle Monáe, Christian Serrano, Lupita Nyong'o wore Versace. Issa Rae wore Rosie Asulin, Angela Bassett, Naeem Khan, Donald Glover, Dolce & Gabbana, Chadwick Boseman, Armani, Sterling K. Brown, La Perla, Michael B. Jordan, Calvin Klein, Tessa Thompson wore Ellie Saab, Storm Reed, Stella McCartney, and Letitia Wright wore an Indian designer that I cannot pronounce. She then goes on to say, not a single black actor wore an African designer to the Black Panther movie premiere, a movie set in Africa at a time where there is ample rising African designers who would use that shine to elevate their line. What do y'all think about that? Caught me off guard when I saw it. Definitely want to see you guys have any comments here on the news today. Let's see. I see we have several. Let's see, Leah Beatty. Hey, Leah. She said, what's in the box, right? I'm like, is the frame even from Tiffany's? We all know those people who, you know, regift, rebox. Right. Where did the frame come from? Let's see. Oh, it said a frame, exactly. She didn't even talk about what the frame looked like. I think that was probably because she was being tactful. Let's see. I can't read these comments. They're all out of order now. Let's see. I got to. Oh, there's hell. You know what? Middle school shootings. Ain't that America? Yes, it is. Like, it didn't even really, like, make super breaking news, if you will. Like, it didn't take over TV, and that's bad. Like, we have a 12-year-old girl shooting people, and I think she really meant to get those 2 victims because she just got 2 of them. Let's see. She was jealous of her looks. Yes, Desmond, the white chick, Brianna Brochu, she was definitely jealous of Jazzy's looks because Jazzy was very pretty. When I reported on the story months ago, I showed a picture of her, just how pretty she was, and we talked about white women and their thing with hating black women and their beauty.
But I want to say this.
Yeah.
How can you not call it a hate crime when she called her Jamaican Barbie?
Exactly.
So you're clearly stating you hate Jamaican Barbie, who is I guess it's African American. I mean, it's the Caribbean.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
African Caribbean, they get real testy about that.
Yes.
In the homelands, in the mid homelands, the halfway homeland.
Yeah, I personally think people don't really know how to prosecute those unless it's like super overt hate crime as people see in movies. Like, but I agree with you. It should have been. So,
Tanisha Newman is saying that Pruitt, I knew that they didn't wear any African designer, and I'm not surprised. Why are you not surprised? And why was that? I mean, I know that this is just a news segment, but why was that moment missed?
Yeah.
Like,
that's a terrible oversight.
It's terrible.
It's a terrible oversight. How did that happen? And you had actual Africans on this.
Oh, right. The only African who looked like they had on African garb was he played the lead character in Selma. Ole Wowo. Oh.
Yeah.
But but the girl who made the comment, who is African, she said it looked like he called his mama in Nigeria and said, "Just send me something," because he said he looked a mess. All right, it's time to wrap it up because y'all know it's Thursday, which means True Baller Thursday is up next with J. Cole and the Reggie Mathis. I'm not sure what they're going to talk about today, but I heard them kind of like saying they about to go in. So whether you were totally into NBA or you not, you definitely want to watch these two go in on NBA basketball. And then right after will be the Thursday Wind Down, where it'll be hosted by Gabby tonight because unfortunately Starla K. Mathis is sick. Oh, we're so sad. But Gabby will be here to host that. She'll be joined with some fabulous guests, so you definitely want to stay tuned to all of our programming tonight. Thank you guys so much for watching. You can find us on the Fifth Column Network on YouTube, Facebook, FCN Prime on Instagram and Twitter. Follow us, like, and subscribe. We love y'all. I will be back with Prime News next Monday at 7 p.m. ish. I love y'all. Have a good night.